Good evening. Welcome to the June 10th, 2026 Foxborough School Committee meeting. This meeting will be broadcast live and recorded by Foxboro Cable Access. I'll entertain a motion to open.
I make a motion to open the school committee meeting of June 10th, 2026.
I second.
Apologies.
All in favor? 400. Thank you very much. Joe, you want to lead us in the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is open public comment. There is none on the sheet. Is anyone here for open public comment? Next on the agenda, we have approval of minutes.
We have several minutes.
3 sets of minutes.
I had one question about the March 25th minutes. I wasn't the clerk at the time, so should I be on there or should you be on there?
Me?
You? Okay.
I think, right?
No, he signs the minutes now, so he's not witnessing, you're witnessing that these are the official minutes, and since you're the clerk now, you sign.
Okay. All right. I make a motion to accept the March 25th school committee meeting minutes.
I second.
All in favor? 400.
Motion to accept the June 1st policy subcommittee meeting.
I second.
All in favor? 400.
Motion to accept the June 5th policy subcommittee meeting minutes.
I second.
All in favor? 400. And just as a point of clarification, Ms. Ladani cannot be here with us today. Next on the agenda, we have the dugout softball Native American imagery. So we discussed this last meeting, and we were going to continue discussing it and take a vote on it today. So does anyone have any comments or thoughts?
I do. I just am a little nervous about the Native American imagery, and I understand and respect that many people in this town have a great affinity for this logo, but it's what we're showing to other towns, and other towns may not have the equal affinity for this, for our symbol. I also acknowledge that this symbol is within the guidelines of what is considered acceptable, so there's that. I just ask that if they are going to do that, that they have approval of the softball team and the boosters for their the image. And I mean the image as a whole, not just around the Native American injuries. It's just the image as a whole. But if your team and your boosters agree to it, then and you're paying for it, that it is what it is.
I think that's definitely fair. Based off last meeting, I think the boosters were definitely in support, and they had some of the players as well. So it seems like all around.
I was aware of that. Yep. But that's that's how I feel about it.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I don't think there's any need to go too farly into it. It's certainly a valid concern. We think we've all had some sort of opinion about things, and where it stands now, if the boosters want to do that and there's nothing prohibited in it, I think that should be a problem. I make a motion to approve the softball's use of the imagery for the dugout that they're going to do with that paint job.
I second.
All in favor? 400. Next on the agenda, we have the school committee retreat and proposed 2026-2027 meeting dates. So we'll start off with the retreat. Unfortunately, MASC could not do that date that we originally had scheduled after we thought they could. So the new date is the other date that we all discussed, which was July 13th. Same time, same place, same everything. That date they have confirmed with me as of yesterday that they can be there. So I'm going to hold them to it this time.
Okay.
Does that work for everyone?
Yep, we can make it work.
Yep.
So we can start with a motion on that, and then we can go through the dates.
Oh, I make a motion to change the school committee retreat date from July 20th to July 13th at 5:30.
Second.
All in favor? 400. Thank you. And then for the meeting dates, the calendar basically mirrors the meeting dates that we met this year. Last year when we were discussing, we did have a discussion about potentially an earlier start time from 6:30 to 6. So if that's something that the committee is interested in, we can definitely discuss it now. But these dates that are on the back are pretty much the same week as they are this year. If anyone has any thoughts on that.
I
So-
can do 6 o'clock, but 6:30 also works.
It doesn't matter to me, either time's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I know your schedule can be tough for us sometimes too. I think this year I would be able to do 6 o'clock.
Then I'm fine with 6. I'll make it work.
Okay.
6 works, so I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the school committee dates for 2026 and to 2027 as listed with a start time at 6 p.m.
So we're gonna change it to start time, 6:30 is listed.
Yes, change it to a 6 p.m., please.
Second.
All in favor? 4-0-0. Moving on to recognition of retirees.
Okay. This is a wonderful time of year to be able to recognize our retirees. And many of them that we're going to recognize here publicly, we are not able to be here with us. It is an extreme pleasure to be able to share that information with you. We have it up on the screen. I will go through them, and I'm going to hold one for last. So I'd like to congratulate for their many, many years of dedicated service to the Foxborough Public Schools the following people: Ellen Brissett, 9 years, she's an educational assistant. Teresa Burns, 20 years, educational assistant. Betsy Dundunham, 22 years, special education teacher at the high school. Lynn Doolin, food service, 20 years. Janie Dudley, educational assistant, who retired a little bit earlier at the Borough for 25 years. Scott Ferbert, social studies at the high school, 28 years. Elaine Gallagher, who is our IT data specialist guru for 13 years. Jean Gaudette with 13 years. And one of our bus drivers, I want to mention. Holly Geffers, an English teacher at the high school, 21 years. Marianne Madden in our extended day for 18 years. So we're going all the way from preschool here to extended day with all of our staff members here. Janet Passetti at the Borough, 22 years. And Lisa Alden, 19 years at the IGO. And Lisa is here. We're going to have you come up. We have a little gift. Everyone else will have theirs. We also have citations here. And no, I'm really honored that you're here with us tonight, not only for all of your years in teaching at the IGO, 2nd grade, 3rd grade.
4th grade, my 4th grade teacher.
And Joe's 4th grade teacher.
Only 1 year, they were the best year.
You can't get a better endorsement than that. But Lisa has also served as mentor coordinators, touching the lives of so many new staff, and having that first impression when you come to Foxborough and being able to work with someone who has the dedication that she does. In addition to that, vice president of our Foxborough Education Association in the past. So there's countless other committees and everything that she's done. So it's so much more than the classroom itself and the hundreds and hundreds of lives, including Joe's, that you have touched. So I am going to have you come up so we can take a also have citations here from Senator Paul Feeney and then State Representative Michael Chason. So we have those for all of our retirees. They're not able to be here with us this evening. So this is for you to take, as well as this small token, which is so small compared to all of the great things that you've done for so many years. So we're going to make you come around, and I'm just going to reach across. So give you a hug. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
And the year you were my 4th grade teacher, that was your first year at the IGO.
It was.
With Dr. Mello, Mrs. Mello, Allison Mello back then.
It was my first year there. Yep, I was so lucky.
And Mr. Savidio's first year.
Thank you.
So many other lucky children other than Joe.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And you're
Thank
welcome
you.
to go and
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for all your.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been an honor. Thank you.
the stories that you could tell over all of those 19 years here.
Yeah, it's been an honor, so thank you very much. I grew up in Foxborough. I raised my family in Foxborough. My kids all came through the public schools here, and when I landed here, it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. So I'm very, very proud to be part of this community and very, very proud to have served the families and the children of Foxborough. It's a pretty neat place. So thank you, and I appreciate it. Thank
Thanks
you.
for making it even better.
Next on the agenda, we have the superintendent's update. Dr. Burdos.
Well, in addition to congratulations on all of those that are starting that next chapter of their story, we have all of our graduates that are starting the next chapter of their stories. So we just wanted to congratulate again. I know that many of you were at graduation on Sunday for the class of 2026. It was a great ceremony for them, and when I look at all of the families that are there and I see the pride and that next transition to whatever that might be, from recognizing the number of students that are going into the military and service to just really the accolades of so many of our kids. So it was a wonderful afternoon, and thank you to Dr. Donovan and his whole team at the high school, Mr. Savidio. All of the work that goes into making it look so seamless is really a lot of work behind the scenes. So they did a fantastic job, and congratulations to our graduates. Reminders, we do have an early release, as you are all aware, on June 16th, Tuesday, which was our original last day of school. And that's just a reminder to families. It is an early release, and that is because of the World Cup games. But our last day of school is Monday, June 22nd, which is an early release. So I'm sure that everyone's aware, but just want to remind folks. To go back to the 16th for a moment, though, extended day will, even though it's an early release, they're going to stay open a little bit later to accommodate families, but they will be closing at 2. So just, and that communication has been sent out, but just as a reminder there. Lots of events, lots of step-up days, field trips. I've talked with some parents myself and just hearing the transition, even with the fourth graders going up to the middle school, just really some nice feedback that we've heard from families, which is wonderful. And that, again, is from all of the work from the people in those buildings. And all of the field days and everything and field trips, it wouldn't happen if it weren't for volunteers and a lot of other people that are coming to assist the schools to make that happen. So weather's been good, which we want that to continue. So that's great. The other piece that I just wanted to mention, and it'll kind of get mentioned a little bit later too, is the spotlight that I sent out the first Friday of each month in June. So many resources that are there to go back to over the summer. So as we end school, I just want to remind families, if you're looking for any kind of assistance in any way, go back to that as a resource. And there's other links to videos and different events that our wellness committee has put together over the course of the year. So wonderful resource for families. And also this summer, the Hockomock Y is going to be, again, offering free summer meals to families. It's for children and teens from ages 1 to 18. You do not have to provide any registration, any paperwork, any proof of income. None of that is required. Families can simply drop in and enjoy a free meal. And in many of those cases, too, they're going to have other events, family-friendly, whether it's story time or things that families can do. I will send that out on behalf of the Y, but wanted to mention it this evening. And the meal sites are going to be in Milford, Bellingham, and Plainville if you're wanting to go and do a little bit more other than picking up meals. And we know that that is an important staple for many families. So again, I will send that out, but just wanted to mention it here. And the other update that I have is to update the committee of where we are with Mr. Stanton. Will be talking a little bit later as part of our school improvement plans. But as the Taylor families know for sure at this point, that Mr. Stanton is going on to a new adventure, and we are so sad to see him leave Foxborough after 14 years, but excited for his new adventure and wish him the best. And as a result of that, then we need to replace him. We talked about sinking the island of Nantucket in order to keep him here, but that didn't seem to be realistic. So we are in the process of pulling the committee together. A school committee member, thank you, Pat, for volunteering to be on that committee. More information will come out tomorrow. We did have 9 Taylor families that also offered. We have 2, it's a 15-member committee, and we have 2 parents. Pat also happens to be a parent, but will be the school committee member. So we're literally pulling out of a hat. We'll contact those families tomorrow, along with, we had so many educators come forward as we go to that next step. So I just think, again, that speaks to the quality of the professionalism of all of people being willing to volunteer their additional time for that. So more information to come. The posting doesn't close until June 16th, next week. But just wanted to say thank you, Pat, for being willing to serve and represent the school committee on that.
My pleasure.
And we'll talk a little bit more with Mr. Stanton in a little bit. So that's all I have for updates, other than just wanting to say that as we have another school committee member meeting coming up in June, but school will be out by that time. So do want to just say to our families, I hope that people have a wonderful, safe summer and an opportunity to reconnect with family and friends and all of the good things that summer can bring.
Perfect. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have the District Plan for Success. Back to you.
Okay. So do we have a clicker for the PowerPoint? So we're going to present a little bit differently than we've done. As you're very much aware, the Plan for Success, our new plan for 5 years, we are in the first of those 5 years. So at this point in time, we're going to, all in one evening, present the district as well as the school improvement plans. This is our plan of where we look for opportunities for improvement. All school improvement plans are based off of the district goals because we need to be aligned and have that common goal going forward in the work that we're doing, although it's going to look a little bit different at some schools, whether they're the elementaries from one building to the other or elementary to secondary. And none of this should be a surprise, quite honestly, because so much of the work is here is what you see throughout the year, from presentations, from whether it's special education to baseline and benchmarks to the goals that we're working on and then coming back to you and presenting, even through teaching and learning highlights. So what we're going to do is to spend the first part of this with kind of that 30,000-foot view of what drives the district, and then the principals will come up with their school improvement plans, and we have 3 areas of focus. We're going to go through what that looks like on the high level, and then look at each of those focus areas and what that looks like at the school level. So this 5-year plan with these 3 particular focus areas are learning and leading, supporting the whole child, and supporting safe, innovative, and inclusive schools. And under each of those focus areas, we have our objectives, we have our strategic initiatives, and all of the work that we're going to do in order to meet those. You're not going to necessarily tackle every strategic initiative each year. That's going to look different from year to year. So we're going to highlight for you what we focused on this year, the progress to date, and then look forward. Instead of coming in September, at the same time say, this is where our work and efforts have been this year, and what are our goals going forward. So it'll make sense all at once, and you can have it in one particular conversation. So if we go to the first area of learning and leading, that strategic objective is going to be more curriculum instruction focused. So Dr. Burrows and I will kind of go back and forth, but again, it's that 30,000-foot view, and then we'll focus more once we get to the school improvement plans.
So the first strategic initiative under this focus area, engaging in continuous improvement and instructional practices. If you flip through our district improvement plan, you'll see things that are going to sound familiar with all of our presentations that we've done throughout the year. This was year 2 of our Science of Reading professional development with the Hill for Literacy. So we've completed that. That's something that we've done this year. And if you think back to our baseline and benchmarks presentation at the beginning of the year, we're already seeing gains in reading and writing in that area. So we are going to be continuing that work. You are going to see throughout our plan and our goals, as well as through the school improvement plans at each building level, a greater emphasis on that data-driven decision-making, and part of that is that Otis assessment platform that we're going to be adopting. So you'll see that in some of the goals underneath this strategic initiative as well. If you look at the next piece, if you look at the second strategic initiative, oh no, we just have that one. We just have that one
Okay.
slide. If you look at that next strategic initiative, you want to flip through your plan. We're just using just that one image. So flip through that plan and look at your progress to date and the goals that we've set. If you look at that next one, supporting innovative learning opportunities that equip learners with future-ready skills and competencies. You've heard me speak, as well as Dr. Donovan, about innovation pathways, the manufacturing pathway, expanding Project Lead the Way. These have all been things that we've spoken about over the course of this past year. We've made progress with that. And in the upcoming year, the one thing that I think it's timely to focus on is, and there are a couple of new people on this committee, so I'm going to go back in time to try and make sense of this. So one of the items that you'll see underneath this strategic initiative is that that goal of expanding access to elementary STEM opportunities. This stems from, no pun intended, this stems from our science curriculum review a few years ago, before some of you were on the committee. Our science curriculum review identified that it was a need that we expand on the science learning opportunities that our students had access to at the elementary level. It's been a pretty consistent goal of ours over the course of the past few years. We repurposed a digital learning coach at the elementary level to try and fund that position previously. We were unable to in a previous budget cycle, and we've continued to try and put that forward, if you remember back, to even just this most recent budget cycle. So that continues to be a need of ours. It's written in our plan for success. Part of the reason why it's written in our plan for success and a goal is coming out of that science curriculum review recommendation. At the same time, if you think back to the World Language Curriculum Review this past week, we shared with you that there are some staffing challenges that we're experiencing even at the high school level with World Language, trying to find licensed World Language teachers. That's also happening at the elementary level. At this point in time, we're actually down 2 Spanish teachers at the elementary level. Since we last spoke. So we're having to get creative in how we approach that staffing shortage. And I don't know if you would like to talk a little bit about what we're thinking about doing.
Yeah, sure. So our current elementary Spanish program, which not many people have elementary Spanish programs, we've been able to continue to have that for many years, and it's something that we're very proud of, as you saw during that curriculum review. We had an elementary Spanish teacher that left us in December of last year to pursue a different opportunity, and we posted and we reposted, and we ended up having to put a long-term sub, and we're not able to find a licensed Spanish teacher. And we had another one of our elementary Spanish teachers who is leaving us at the end of this school year to go teach French. She's a native French speaker, and she's going to have a full-time position at the secondary level teaching French. So we're now in a situation to where not only are we still trying to fill positions at the high school level, at the elementary level, because it's very difficult to find. When you don't have full-time positions, if they're part-time positions, that part makes it challenging at the same time. So we're in the process right now of really trying to think outside of the box, because when we have elementary Spanish at the elementary level, it is a contractual obligation for our prep periods for our teachers. So we need to have that fulfilled, and at the same time valuing our Spanish instruction and looking at that, we're focusing on how can we, when we've posted 4 times and not been able to get certified Spanish teachers, if we pilot a STEM position as a potential exploration for next year, but focus 3rd and 4th grade, is we've met with the elementary principals, we've met with the department head, and to try to figure out like, how can we do this for next year and then buy us a little bit more time as some of the recommendations that were in the world language curriculum. So don't be surprised if we bring this back at the next meeting as we're continuing to try to solve this challenge that we have before us. But it is something that is very real for us when we're looking for certified educators. And then at the same time, when they're not full-time positions, that part makes it more challenging at the same time. So we thought it was timely here as we're talking about the plan. We know that it's not a surprise with talking about the STEM support and not a surprise with the challenges with some of the staffing with world language just from the curriculum review here recently.
So, and you'll see underneath that strategic initiative, that is, that's really the goal across the district has been that expansion of Project Lead the Way opportunities, that expansion of innovation pathways. So this is aligned to that and an opportunity to explore that in the upcoming year. So, and then underneath that third strategic initiative, the strengthening the implementation of data-informed practices.
Page 9.
That is page 9. Thank you. We've made a lot of progress this year looking at different assessment platforms, and we are adopting the Otis assessment platform for the upcoming school year. We actually had Otis on site. We hosted them for a training with our curriculum and instructional leadership team just this past week. So we're already starting the process of transitioning to that platform. And what is really what's really wonderful about this platform is that not only is it going to help us with the data-driven pieces of our strategic plan, it's going to help us streamline our MTSS practices, and it's also going to solve our vision of a graduate portfolio need as well. So there are a number of needs that this platform will solve that we're really looking forward to the implementation of that. So that's all under that first focus area, and I don't know if you'd like to talk about the second one. Supporting the whole child, that one?
Oh, moving on to focus area 2, which starts on page 11. When we look at meeting the academic, social, emotional well-being of all learners, this gets into a lot of what you heard during the March school committee meeting when we had the Walker report. That was one aspect of it. From a special education standpoint and identifying recommendations and action steps, that will be the goal for next year. So you heard we went through that this year. That was part of our progress to date. And then convening a working group to identify what out of those recommendations are things that we need to realistically tackle first, next, if they are things that make sense, because again, those were recommendations. So that will be a big focus for next year under that particular focus area. And then professional development, which you heard out of that as well for our educational assistants, and really targeting to improve the efficacy and their roles in inclusion and specialized program for our educational assistants. That's something from that report as well as from the professional development committee and the work that comes out of that will be a focus for next year.
And you've heard me speak a little bit about the statewide graduation requirements that are coming down the pike for us. We've actually done a bit of forward-thinking work this school year with the MyCap curriculum. I've worked closely with Mr. Servideo in the middle and high school school counseling team to wrap our brains around what is the MyCap curriculum recommendation coming from the state. We've been authoring that curriculum throughout this school year. We actually have teams that are working on it right now. And then that will be the goal in the upcoming school year as well, to continue to author that curriculum and publish that on the district website to meet that need as well. So that's an ongoing project.
And as a reminder, that's my career and academic plan is what MyCap stands for. And so at the very back, you probably noticed the glossary of all of the acronyms because we have many of them in education.
Sarah to be pleased.
Yes, she would. She absolutely would be. I mentioned before in the update about the spotlight for June that had so many of the mental health supports and Care Solace. We've been able to continue to work to provide that opportunity for the community, and that access is wonderful for families to be able to go on and get help when they need it. So that is another area here when we're talking about increasing and sustaining mental health partnerships. We're able to continue with Care Solace going forward, and that is really a great benefit for families when they're looking for health providers and they may not be able to get them. And it doesn't matter, again, you might have a student that's in college across the country and they're not here, and if anyone's needing help, that is across the country access that's there. So worked a lot to expand partnerships there, and we'll continue. And then just to reinforce the idea that some of the different partnerships and events that we've had this year and the progress we've made, those are some of those other resources that they're password protected, but on the Spotlight, you can access those videos when we think about like Dr. Plummer coming in and doing those particular presentations. It's hard for families to get out, we know that, but if we're able to record them and we were able to do that, then they can have access and watch it anytime, anywhere.
I know we're going really fast, but there is plenty of opportunity to ask questions, and then our principals are going to add a lot more detail when they talk about their school improvement plans as well. So the only other thing that I would mention underneath this focus area that we contributed to this year is just that continued attention to the peer mediation program that we started at that secondary level. We've actually trained additional staff this year and made that a priority this year as well, as training more kids at the middle and high school. So we've continued to really prioritize that program as well.
As we move on to page 16 of the plan, this plan will also be on the website for anyone that can go and see all of the details that are here. But when we look at supporting safe and innovative and inclusive schools, that's facilities to safety and security, to human resources and the people that are working with our students. The MSBA, Massachusetts School Building Authority, looking forward to that next phase. Again, Michelle's going to sit on that committee when we go forward. We are working currently on a lot of the questionnaires, enrollment projections, those things that we have to have ready by July 30th for the MSBA, for the Taylor School, which really is within Module 1 and Module 2. So we have links within the plan here, so if people are wanting a lot more detail, they can easily go and just click on the link and get a lot more information that's there. Continued with the technology piece, implementing so many interactive display boards across the district here. We've got 68 installed this year. We've refreshed laptops at 3 different grade levels at 3, 4, and 11. Continuing with funding different projects through the capital improvement planning. The first phase of the library refresh at the Ahern, and with the CIP being passed, not only at the CIP level, but at town meeting, we'll have the second phase of that as an example. I'm sure Ms. Fraser will mention that. And then I think one of the big ones here, whether we end up seeing this at a fall town meeting is kind of a question versus later on, but is the need for the turf field, the Sam Burns Community Field at the high school. And so that is going to be a goal for next year. So we've continued to be able to do facility upgrades that we've done. Tony and Carl, under their guidance, have done a lot. But that's some of the bigger projects that we're looking forward for next year, in addition to the progress we've made this year. When we move on to the second strategic initiative, which is really under ensuring safe and prepared and responsive school environments, when we think about the security and infrastructure and school safety, as you're very much aware, we focused a lot on our communication this year at the beginning, throughout the year, from working with students and the results from our climate and culture survey, where we had don't knows, to be able to put more information out at the student level, at the faculty level, at the parent guardian community level. So you see a lot of information of what we did, from the standard response protocols to our reunification efforts through our district crisis team and working closely with our public safety partners. We actually had our school resource officers, along with Dr. Donovan, present at the 20th Annual New England School Safety Conference here this spring. And at the same time, when we look back to the last 14 years where we've had the Culture and Climate Survey and reported out in every year on that, focusing on the communication and communicating in different ways, what ended up happening as the results of that is we had an overall perception increase by 14% when it comes to school safety measures, not necessarily changing things, but communicating them in a different way. And what that also did for, it's Sogalytics now, it's not K-12 Insight, but it's the same company. Our results are 6 times the national average. And as a result of that, they're highlighting the communication and some of the strategies that we've done with that. And a lot of that is looking at where can we improve in those areas and making those concrete to be able to bring that more to the forefront of our school resource officers, what they're doing, but how can we highlight it in a different way and communicate it differently. And then the third strategic initiative as we move onto that one, Helios, which is our human resources platform, fully implementing based on the goals we had for this year. It is a software program from onboarding to offboarding to teachers being able to get their professional development certificates of attendance from the offerings that we have at their fingertips. They can go online and see what they have for professional development, graduate work, et cetera. And then they can use it even more so if they so choose, as far as being a bank for the work that they're doing on their own. So it is a game changer for us to have this all in one area. It allows us to go back. If we have someone who worked for us in one capacity before, they went back to go get a degree, as an example, maybe they were educational assistant and they're coming back as a teacher. Having all of that history in one electronic repository, it is, like I said, a game changer instead of having to go to just hard copy files and filing cabinets. That's just a very simple example, but it really has. I think Ms. Quattrini would be probably the biggest fan of Helios and the implementation this year.
I would say, too, that the clarity and the convenience of the professional development and licensure features that are within the platform are really helpful to teachers. So it was exciting to roll that feature out to teachers as well.
So that's the 30,000-foot view when we look district, and it shows the alignments that all the collective efforts of the schools that we're all heading in the same direction, although it might look different at different levels, and it might look further ahead at some levels depending on where we've started. When we think back to the MTSS, the multi-tiered system of support, and what that looked like at elementary, and then moving that to the middle school, and then you'll hear more specifically about that at the high school, just through a later agenda item, like with the new schedule at the high school. So I will stop there before we invite elementary and middle and high school principal to come forward with school improvement plans to see if you have questions from the district perspective. It's a lot of information to digest.
I mean, I do like just the depository of the information. When you were describing it, reminds me of like whenever I go to the doctor's office, if you're going to like a different hospital and you have to basically write down your entire history for everything. It's like there should just be like some sort of centralized depository where they can just pull it, like it's from my health insurance, like, but like it's just like that for all the educational stuff, or be able to. That was all manual before.
It was, and something that would seem so simple, like for instance, if someone gets married and they have a name change, to be able to do that electronically and to help remove the possibility of human error because that person is doing that. If when we had, because you're going back historically to records, even date of hire, when you look at date of hire, it might have been off a little bit. So we're able to have all of our teachers log on, look at that. They themselves can then verify, and if they see something that's inaccurate for some reason, then we can get it corrected, which will help us at the point of time down the road when they go to retire.
Just syncing up our systems is just, it's incredibly helpful.
Yeah, I imagine.
And running reports, being able to run reports that we need to be able to do is going to be a big efficiency for us.
Can see how excited you guys are. It's good.
Nobody's more excited than Jamie.
I don't know. Stephanie gets to play in Excel more, so she probably likes that more, right?
You know me so well.
The next agenda item will, as Dr. Bertos explained, go into depth a little more. So the school improvement plans, all 5 principals.
And as they're walking up, I said a little bit at the beginning, but I think that what you're going to be able to see is the story. When we look at what something looks like at elementary, by taking each of these focus areas and showing at the elementary, middle school, and high school, you're going to be able to see that vision and then go to the next focus area and see what that looks like as we have our youngest learners to those that graduate.
So first off, thank you so much for this new opportunity to have 5 principals join you at once. Before we're 5 schools, we're 1 district, and we felt that this format might be not only beneficial for the board, but also those at home that are watching to sort of understand sort of how we complement one another and build off of one another as well. So our plan is really to talk about each of the domains but go up according to level as well. So I'm going to start off by talking about the introduction of the vision of the graduate at the pre-K to 4 level. And Dr. Burrows and Dr. Bertos talked a lot about this, but what this is going to look like, 2 examples, is we're actually going to be translating the vision, the statements and the behaviors, into I can statements, so our elementary students can actually make connections to the vision of the graduate statements. The other thing that we're very excited about as well is that we're going to be looking at read aloud stories, and we're going to be identifying and actually tagging what Dr. Donovan and his team at the high school did, the different behaviors and competencies, and actually putting that into the book. And we're going to be reaching out to the Boyden Library as well to see if they'd like to partner with us. So we'll have our classroom libraries, our school library, and then also our community. So no matter where our students go, it's not a Foxborough Public School vision of a graduate, it's the town of Foxborough. And we thought that was exciting, sort of that opportunity for ownership and shared across not just the schools, but in the community as well. The next one that you can talk about is just really the improved outcomes on literacy screeners. Something that we're going to be doing is we use a lot of collaboration with our teachers to look at that data and that information. We assess students in order to instruct and find opportunities for growth and targeted instruction. So across the 3 schools, we've been very fortunate. Our teachers have been engaged in some incredibly strong professional development. The resources that we've had over the years, we've added some programming, for example, Haggerty, Foundations, Empowering Writers, which have really given the tools to the teachers, and we're starting to be able to see some of the success and the outcomes with that. So we're excited about that. Strategic Initiative 1.2, Dr. Burrows talked about this too, and we're very excited. And this was something that was interesting, serving on the Plan for Success Committee. Something that was resounding was the parents and the community members that were part of that conversation. This was sort of my takeaway was this was their biggest thing, is preparing their children, our children, for the world ahead of them and really looking at that STEM. So translated at our 3 schools, we are tight on space. So we're looking at how can we find dedicated spaces to be able to have that. We've purchased literally thousands of dollars of materials and supplies, and so we want to get those into the hands of our teachers and more importantly into the hands of our students. We're also looking at some targeted professional development as well. So that's that 1.2. And then the last one that I'll be talking about is Strategic Initiative 1.3. The warehouse, the Otis, and Dr. Burrows and Dr. Bertos talked about that. I think simply for us as principals, what it translates to is that we're going to be able to be more efficient and responsive to students' needs and allow our teachers to really be proactive in identifying and responding to the goals and not spending so much time, Pat, you were talking about sort of the hand written notes or whatever it might be. So to be able to leverage technology, and I do want to say, working with Danielle and Robert, we've been very aware that we feed into one middle school, the 3 elementary schools. So I think when you look at our 3 plans across the BIT, what you'll see is a lot, in my opinion, more so than any time in the past, commonalities across that. We each have our own unique sort of fingerprints. For example, the Tyrrell School has the project coming up. But this was something that we worked hard because we realized that we're passing them off to Ms. Frazier.
Hi. At the middle school level, we're also talking about vision of a graduate and how that translates to our middle schoolers. We're really going to be looking at developing and supporting a vertical understanding of that vision of a graduate in grades 5 through 8, and really trying to make connections between the vision of a graduate with our Ahern Constitution, the work we've done with standards-based grading, and our current and work to be continued in increasing opportunities for authentic learning experiences, project-based learning for our middle schoolers. Also under strategic initiative 1.1, where our Ahern instructional leadership team will be coordinating peer observations among teachers to continue the work that we've already started in co-teaching, and really supporting teachers and supporting each other and continuing that work and strengthening that work in the classroom. Under 1.2, really thinking about AI and what that looks like with our middle schoolers, both for students and for staff. So we've started leveraging our PLC and staff meetings to serve as some opportunities for training and the best practices with AI for teachers, and also the opportunities for students and teaching them about responsible use with AI. So we'll be continuing to incorporate that training and those practice opportunities for staff in those meetings, and our digital learning coach will also be providing workshops for our students. I mentioned increasing the development of those project-based and authentic learning opportunities. We're really excited about all of the opportunities we're already seeing at the middle school. You've seen some of them here this year with our 8th grade civics students and their work in the community. Our Project Lead the Way students with their projects at New Balance and National Grid this year. Our 6th graders had their STEM day and have also been, they finished their unit on Long Walk to Water and did a lot of work on a clean water project in South Sudan and supporting that through the Iron Giraffe project. So looking forward to continuing those opportunities and really making that learning relevant and meaningful for students. And in 1.3, just like in elementary and across the district, we'll be working with teachers and students in the implementation of the Otis platform and training teachers and students in how to develop assessments and take the assessments within that platform. And then we'll be participating in the district-wide working group starting this summer for the revision of the DCAP and looking at our building-based support teams and student support teams. And the processes we have in place, the protocols for the collection of data, and how we're monitoring progress for students.
Good evening. At the high school, for Strategic Initiative 1.1, just as a kind of a point of context for the committee, so the Vision of the Graduate work started at the high school as part of our accreditation process. That the school began 5 years ago. We earned our accreditation 3 years ago. We're fully accredited by NAASC, and one of the elements that you are required to have is a Vision of the Graduate. That structure replaced a former element, which was that you had to have core values and beliefs about learning. So it's been a part of the accreditation process for probably multiple decades at this point. It's just every 10 years or so they change the name. When we began our work creating a Vision of the Graduate, which was a step in our accreditation process, we really took a holistic view of the district and tried to create a document that could really guide instruction. I am very grateful to have the principals here at the table and the district leadership to help the high school really kind of build something that was credible beyond our walls. And so I'm just very grateful to the support of everybody here and teachers around the district who have come up with and spoken about tonight things that when we began the work at the high school we would never have imagined. And that's really, I think, sort of like the art of what may be possible through this work as a district and as a community. So for us, we are talking, Dr. Burrows mentioned earlier, there's an element where our vision is that students will build a portfolio over their first 3 years of high school of work that demonstrates that they've met those capabilities, that they exhibit those behaviors in work that they've done at school and in the community, whether it be through athletics and co-curricular events at the high school, or maybe in some employment opportunities that they have during that period of time. We are working on designing a portfolio through Otis that kids would accumulate work year over year, kind of refine their examples, choose the best examples, so that by the time they finish junior year, they really have a portfolio of their best work that they can use as they prepare for post-secondary life, whether that is immediately going into the workforce, or maybe it's in some sort of post-secondary or college process. And we are imagining at this moment a sort of like exit interview that they would do with staff as like a final step in that process. So we are kind of in the visioning part of, we've kind of completed our visioning work at the high school for what that portfolio could look like. And next year, our goal is to start to try out our vision with the freshmen and start to accumulate those resources and utilize Otis as the repository of it and start to build from there. So we are excited about that work, and we imagine that it will start probably in the second semester next year. For 1.2, as Dr. Burrows mentioned before, and I think it was mentioned at the last school committee meeting, the high school was able to obtain the designation for a manufacturing pathway. We're very excited about that and what that could mean for our students, particularly those who are looking to go to work right away, or to have real-world experience before they go to their post-secondary educational opportunities, whatever that may be. As part of that work, we partnered with Mass MEP, which is a workforce development agency run by the state that does training for manufacturers in all different domains. So the people that we worked with were also designing coursework for aviation mechanics in Worcester and all sorts of engineering and manufacturing companies up and down 495, because there's quite a bit in our area. And our goal is to have students, as they go through our woodworking and CAD programs and some of our Project Lead the Way coursework, that they'll be in a position where they'll have some industry skills that would make them very attractive candidates for when we get to senior project, which is existing sort of workforce training opportunity for students at the end of senior year, where they can pretty much take the whole fourth quarter and go to work for credit. So we're looking to kind of expand what senior project, the definition of what it could be, the opportunities that come with it, and really leverage our Project Lead the Way and our woodworking and CAD coursework to do to meet this goal. And then finally, with the implementation of data-informed practices, we'll talk a little bit more about the schedule later in the meeting. But one of the things that is, I think, different about the high school is we don't have lots of screeners like the elementary schools have. We don't have literacy screeners and math screeners. We don't have common assessments that every English class does every 8 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever it may be, and whatever that interval may be. So what we're looking for in our schedule is to create an opportunity for staff to meet, to look at the data we have, and with Otis to begin to build some of those tools out. We are, if you were to compare the high school to the middle school, we are in many ways years behind where they will be next year with Otis, but we have a pathway to get there, which is something that we've really looked for over the last couple of years, how to do in a coherent, strategic way. So we're excited about that.
Okay, so under focus area number 2 for 2.1, across the bit, we're going to ensure that all of our teachers and educational assistants receive professional development that's aligned to the district plan and centered on the supporting students with diverse social emotional learning needs and academic needs. So this may look like continuing our work with the science of reading. We've done 2 years of extensive work with that, but making sure that that's in the forefront of our mind as we move forward with our reading instruction, making sure that we're using common language and common themes and instructional strategies. It also looks like Teach Town, which is an intervention program for our students with our highest needs. It's a great program. It gives lessons, activities, and ideas to support our students with whatever area they may be struggling in. It also includes continuing with responsive classroom and making sure that everybody who is coming on board is also trained in these strategies so that we have similar language in the classrooms, similar expectations throughout the grade levels and throughout the building as a whole. So we'll continue with that and to dive a little bit deeper as the years go on. For Strategic Initiative 2.2, we will conduct regular student support team meetings where we look at data, assess where our students are, where they need to go, and the progress that they've made. We will also have about 3 times a year across BIT, we have data team meetings where we look at the beginning, middle, and end of the year data. And it also, again, assess where our students are, where they're going, and what kind of changes we need to make along the way to help better meet their needs. And then for Strategic Initiative 2.3, we're going to continue to work on strengthening our SEL, or social emotional learning practices, so that we can respond to the growing needs that our students have. This is going to look like, again, continuing with responsive classroom, ensuring that our classrooms have calming areas, so if that a student is feeling dysregulated or upset, they have a place to go to kind of decompress a little bit. It has, different tools that they might need to help them calm down. It could be a sand timer so they could watch the sand. It could be like a comfy pillow that they might need to, might have sequence on it. The tactile, it helps them with that. It also includes sensory hallways, paths that we have in the hallways, and regulation stations throughout the buildings that help support our students when they need it. And then the last bullet here would be beginning to strengthen our restorative practices, techniques at the elementary level. We know that they do it at the secondary. At elementary right now we use responsive classroom, and we do have mediation that occurs when there's a conflict with the classroom teacher and the student, our guidance counselor and the student, and or the principal and the students. But we have, been in some conversations with the Ahern and the middle school and the high school to talk about potentially having some peer mediators come down, because I know the students at the high school have been trained or will be trained. So having them come down and work with our youngest learners, we feel it might be a very effective strategy as well.
At the middle school, in 2.1, as I mentioned before, will be our instructional leadership team will be leading those peer observations to provide ongoing professional development for our teachers, with the goal of continuing to strengthen our co-teaching practices, with particular focus on our workshop model and differentiation for students in the classroom and their wide range of needs. And along with that, we'll be providing additional professional learning for our educational assistants to really help clarify and strengthen their role in the classroom, and really clearly define the roles when there are multiple adults in the classroom. In 2.2, we hold, as Mr. Stanton was mentioning, we hold transition meetings for our students as they're making the transition from 4th to 5th grade, and also from 8th to 9th grade. But really looking at that through the lens of those students who are really having those more elevated social, emotional, and behavioral needs, and how we are proactively supporting those students in particular in those transitions. And our school counselors, as Dr. Burdos and Dr. Burrows were mentioning earlier, will be working on the MyCap planning and what that looks like at the middle school level. We have lots of really great things in place already for the MyCap, with our Project Lead the Way programming and our elective and enrichment classes for our 7th and 8th graders, but we'll be continuing to build on that and really looking more through that career lens too, as we add that into the work that we're already doing. In 2.3, again, looking at our student support teams and reviewing specifically the social emotional learning data, and identifying specific interventions earlier for students, and ensuring that we're implementing those interventions with fidelity across our teams. and continuing to support district-wide programming for our families. When we think about our middle schoolers and what their greatest needs are that we're seeing right now, we're really looking at how we best support them with their executive functioning, looking at their use of cell phones and social media and helping them to be responsible with that, as well as other developmental needs. And whether that's providing resources or programming for parents. We're excited to bring back Ryan's Story. Some of you might remember we had Ryan's Story at the middle school a few years ago, about 4 years ago now. We've worked with the Ahern PAC to bring them back for next year and to have them in place every other year. So next year they'll talk with our 7th and 8th graders and do a presentation for families at night. And then they'll be coming back every other year to talk with our students really, again, about social media, bullying, online bullying, the impact of that bullying and online bullying for students, and really helping parents at night too with strategies that they could be implementing with their students at home to support that learning.
At the high school, for 2.1, we're going to really focus on our ACT labs. This was a recommendation that came out of the Walker Report earlier this year to build in some very explicit executive functioning training in our academic labs, which are a service that many of our students with IEPs get during the day. They have, their structure has been, I would say, very much about the individual needs of the student, but there wasn't a coherent curriculum. And so what we're going to move towards is a coherent curriculum with the opportunity to support kids individually and have that time be more structured. For 2.2, just to continue on the MyCap theme that is run through this presentation, very much like the middle school, Mr. Servideo and his team of counselors provides guidance programming for students in grades 9 through 12. We leverage getting into health classes in 9th grade and in 10th grade, and into social studies and English and math classes in 11th grade. And we pull students currently out of study halls for our senior seminar in 12th grade. And we're going to look at kind of most of our instructional lessons met the requirements of MyCap. We have a couple that we need to adjust, and Mr. Servideo and his team have been making those adjustments. There's also some requirements for data, for kids logging in and creating a profile, and that and going through some required elements. So this year we also spent some time building or looking at what those requirements are so that we can begin to implement them next year. The MyCap implementation is also a requirement of the manufacturing pathway. So that's something that we really have to stand up as part of that effort. And then for 2.3, as others have said tonight, we're really continuing to focus on our peer mediation program. This is the second year of that program at the high school. Last year we implemented it. We did not have much use. This year we had far greater use of that by students. And what we're getting now, and next year we'll have kids who have been peer mentors at the middle school for 2 years, who have done that mediation training for their peers. And we're going to start to retrain kids out of the middle school and add more. So we've had 2 cohorts of kids trained, which is about 50 kids. In the building. So we're excited to see that program grow. We were excited to see that program grow this year, and looking forward to it continuing to be a part of the culture of the school.
I'll be talking about Focus Area 3. So in Focus Area 3. In Strategic Initiative 3.1, our schools are very aligned, and you see that in many, many aspects of these school improvement plans. Strategic Initiative 3.1 is kind of where you see a little bit of diversity, a little bit of separation from our schools, and how we respond to individual needs at our schools. The first bullet under this is conduct a comprehensive review of preschool programming and enrollment and facility needs. So that is specific to the borough where the district preschool is housed. We are looking at reviewing curriculum, reviewing programming, how we're responding to increases in enrollment. We've already come up with a plan to start to implement some new curriculum into preschool next year that is in tighter alignment with our elementary curriculum, implementing Heggerty, Foundations, and a math curriculum that is developed in-house alongside our math development team. Miss Jenny Fellows at the Borough School, who is our math specialist, who has helped to develop a lot of the elementary curriculum, will actually be doing some curriculum work this summer to develop some curriculum work for math at our preschool level, which will be a welcome addition to curriculum curriculum there. We're also going to be looking at what other surrounding preschools are doing in the area and how they are best developing curriculum and delivering curriculum to their students in the integrated preschool model. And as we continue to develop our curriculum and expand our programming, we're going to be looking at the programming of other districts and some model districts as well. The exploring specialized programming expansion, it does apply to all three schools, looking at how we are responding to our highest needs learners, the learners who are part of our developmental learning classroom at the Burrell School, the STEP program at the IGO School, and the TEAMS program at the Taylor School at the elementary level. And then looking, of course, at the Taylor renovation project, the MSBA project that will be moving forward at the Taylor School, and looking for similar projects to what was done at the Burrell School a few years ago, 5 years ago now. It seems like just the other day. But looking at that project and really, as that project moves forward, looking at how the entire community can support that project. Strategic Initiative 3.2 is strengthening training and communication on safety and security. We've done a lot of work this year under the guidance of Dr. Donovan, who has been spearheading a lot of the work with the I Love You Guys Foundation and how we've adopted some of that language and protocols from the I Love You Guys Foundation for our individual schools and how we respond to potential emergencies and threats within our schools. We've also been working as a collective district team with our community resources on the threat assessment committee, threat assessment team that has worked to develop some emergency protocols and will continue to develop those protocols in collaboration with police and fire safety. And then implementing consistent emergency and non-emergency response protocols is something we've been doing, again, with our community resources. And then Strategic Initiative 3.3, looking at how we attract, hire, and retain highly qualified educators and support personnel who embody the diversity and strengths of our community. This goes to our onboarding process, but also our retention process and how we look at training staff. One example that came up recently is safety care training, so how we respond to unexpected behaviors within our school in different types of programs, but also within the general education population, and expanding our safety care training to more diverse staff within the buildings so that we're able to respond to emergency or challenging situations with greater accuracy and efficiency. And lastly, I just want to thank the work of our school councils. These plans come together as a result of that 30,000-foot view from the district strategic plans, from the Plan for Success, but really looking at how that Plan for Success translates into our individual schools. That's the work of our school councils. So I just want to thank the members of our school councils. They put a lot of work into translating that district plan into our individual school improvement plans that we're presenting here today.
At the middle school, under 3.1, this coming year we'll be refreshing the 7th grade laptops. And I have this here because although it's part of the regular refresh cycle, you may know we keep our 5th and 6th grade laptops in the classroom. The students don't bring them back and forth to home unless there's a need for that on an individual basis. Our 7th and 8th graders have been bringing them back and forth to home. Next year, we are going to try to keep the 7th grade laptops in the classroom for a couple of reasons. One, to help us with the sustainability of those devices, helping them to last a little bit longer, and also helping to manage the screen time for students when they're outside of the school day as well. And the other piece of this, as was mentioned earlier, we're purchasing and installing our phase 2 of the Ahern Library furniture. We had our step up days this week so far for Burrell and IGO, and Taylor will be with us tomorrow. And it's kind of awesome to see 4th graders come out of the library saying, what a beautiful space, and we just love the library. And so hoping that continues to really draw kids into the library and giving us the opportunity to get books in their hands and develop and foster that love for and joy for reading. And 3.2, just like in the other levels, continuing to strengthen that communication training and practice for students and staff in our safety and our school safety protocols. We implemented this year community circles protocols in all of our classrooms in grades 5 through 8. We use them to foster our word of the month from our Hearn Constitution, to have hard conversations in the classroom, to repair harm that might have been done, or conflict between students. We also have leveraged that structure to really create a safe space for students in these conversations about school safety, making sure that they have the support to talk about these topics and a place to ask the questions that they have and a process. If we have any of our safety drills, we're coming back and having those community circles to process with students why we're doing that and the questions that they might have following that. Again, just supporting those developmental needs of those students who are 10 to 14. And then in 3.3, again, really providing targeted professional development for our educational assistants and for our teachers and professional staff to continue to foster an inclusive learning environment and cultural proficiency for all of our staff.
And at the high school, for 3.1, we will be expanding our special education programming to include a step-out program. The step-in, step-out model is in the other schools in the district. The population of students is in the step-out program is now coming to the high school, and so we need to create those supports there. So we're excited about that opportunity next year. And then, as Dr. Burdos mentioned earlier, it is time to replace the turf on the Sam Burns Field, and so we have done a lot of preliminary work. That's actually been a part of our CIP 5-year plan now for the last 2 years that we've submitted, and we're hoping to get that funded soon, before the turf runs out of life. I will say our turf is a couple of years beyond the expected lifespan of it, largely because of the incredible work that our maintenance gentleman Mike Ferraro does, who does an incredible job of taking care of the campus and all the athletic fields, but that field in particular, he himself has added years of life to it. For 3.2, like the other schools said, we've been heavily involved at the high school in the adoption of the standard response protocol and the reunification training, and we will have a couple of staff members participating in a reunification exercise this summer to help the district as we come back in the fall to further refine and implement our plans. And then for Strategic Initiative 3.3, again, for our educational assistants, the profiles of learners are changing at the high school, and we're adding some new programs, and we need to train our staff to meet the needs of all of our students, and particularly work in executive functioning and ACT labs, but also in some of the other needs that students have and programmatically throughout the building.
A lot of work.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
We welcome any questions you may have.
So I'll just start off. Thank you. This is obviously not done overnight, and there's a lot of people that are not here that were involved in this. So thank you to you guys and everyone else involved. My question is at the high school. So in the strategic initiative 1.2 at the middle school, there was some talk about AI, like learning opportunities and getting that incorporated. Is there any discussion of that at the high school? Because I can assure you that there's students who enjoy it.
Yes, yeah. So this year, Dr. Wozlowski and our DLC, Jessica Booker, created a whole curriculum for 9th grade on AI, on the ethical uses of AI, the appropriate uses in classrooms, and that program was rolled out to all 9th graders. It's going to continue next year for 9th and I believe and for 10th grade, and we're going to keep building that out. There are, Ms. Booker has done, and Mr. Ambrosio at the middle school have been putting out resources to staff all year this year about ways to use it. They ran a PD workshop that started, I believe, in August and continued through January, specifically for that, on different tools, appropriate utilization for teachers, platforms that they can use. So yes, so that work is happening at the high school, and it will absolutely continue.
I'd add too that the work at the high school is so impressive that the state actually invited Ms. Booker to present at an AI conference at the state level with universities there. MIT was there, Northeastern, Brown, and she presented all of the work that she was doing with AI literacy with our high school students as well. So we're making a lot of headway and getting noticed across the state with the work that they're doing up at the high school with AI. So really, really great. And we've talked a lot about expanding it down as well at the middle school level and having some more lessons at the middle school level as well. So.
Anyone else have any questions?
No, this was great. It was a lot of information. I tell you guys worked really, really hard on it. So thank you for everything tonight. It's really informative.
So I think that two things I had here. The social emotional learning thing is such a huge piece of the actual development of the kids. And I think sometimes it gets lost in just the jargon vortex because social emotional needs or learning's probably mentioned like 45 times in the slideshow. And it's not just, it's mentioned a lot because it's important, but sometimes it can lose the importance of it when it's heard so much. And the continuity from the elementary school up through the high school is so important to continue to build on for that social emotional learning, because that's sort of the thing that is really important to the kids. It's going to serve them well as they become adults, is being able to process all those different feelings, and instead of just bottling it up, finding healthy outlets for it. Because what happens is if the kids don't learn how to properly process whatever feelings they have, things will just keep coming in and it'll just be building up, and eventually it's going to be misdirected to the wrong place. And that's so crucial, and it needs to start from kindergarten, which it does. And it's just, I'm sure it drives some of the kids nuts as they get older for it. And, oh no, we're going through this social emotional stuff again. But it's so important because their needs change. Like Ms. Frazier, I'm dreading my kids going to middle school only because of the just like
It's a hard time of life.
It is a very hard time at life, and it hasn't changed since all of us were kids. It's all the same in terms of it being difficult, but I guess it has changed because of all the different challenges with it. And that sort of goes back to the other part that I know is coming up in the end for the strategic initiatives, was the adaptability, the curriculum itself, and even talking about AI and things like that. I was just thinking to myself as you're talking about the AI with the 9th graders, and then they'll do it till the 10th graders next year. Well, I mean, what's AI going to look like a year from now where it's changing so fast? And that continued adaptability is so important throughout all the different curriculums. And it's really appreciated to see it being mentioned and being top of the mind for it.
Well, thank you all very much. We truly appreciate all the hard work behind the scenes and what you shared with us today.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you as well.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have the FHS Guidance Services update with Mr. Servideo.
All right, how's it going? All right, I'm Andy Servideo, for those of you who don't know me. So I'm going to take you through the guidance end of the year update. There's about 50-something slides in the full presentation. We're not going through 50-something slides. So I went through and I kind of focused on certain areas, and those kind of became the focus areas for tonight. So we'll kind of give a quick hit on that. So there's a lot of guidance services that we do, in fact, provide for students and for families. So we have like kind of broken into buckets. I'm not going to go through all of them, but we have transition. And what we always kind of say is it's interesting that we're transitioning students into high school and out of high school all at the same time. We have 18-year-olds who are ready to leave. We have 14-year-olds ready to come in. And when they're coming in at 14, we're still trying to figure out what we're going to do to help them when they leave at 18. So we do a lot for transition. Student services is a pretty vast bucket. So it could be individual counseling with students. We have groups. We have any sort of 504 plan or DCAP, any way we're helping support students. Our mental health groups and our student support teams as well. We try to do parent education in the sense that we try to put out information to parents. Bruce Hamilton is our college counselor, and he pretty much does like 95% of the guidance section of the newsletter. He has so much information all the time. We try to get as much of that information out to parents as possible. We have evening events, which I'll touch on in a little bit. And then we have the individual college and career pieces, from field trips to our career side of things for field trips. We have our college side of things for field trips. We provide seminars for students, whether it's from freshman year through senior year for post-secondary planning. And I'll get to that as we go. So focus areas tonight, I'm really going to talk about the group guidance kind of career lessons and how we revamp that a little bit. Innovations pathways, we were kind of already talked about that, but I'll touch on how it weaves into what we're doing. Scheduling, I'm always going to talk about scheduling because I find it extremely fascinating and I really like it. Evening presentations, college rep visits, field trips, and then senior projects. So quickly for group guidance. So we run sessions for freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. This year we revamped the sophomore lesson. Previously we looked at Naviance, which is the platform we use for career exploration and college searching as well. And we'd have like students look at some of the videos and they're fine, like they're not bad, but sometimes you click on a video and it's like, hey, what do you want to watch as a class? And there's like hundreds they pick, well, people look it up and it's like 9.5 minutes long, which nobody has the attention for 9.5 minutes of a person talking about their job. That's just a fact. So what we said, and Allie Warren, one of our counselors, actually came up with this idea. She's like, why don't we just talk to people we know and give them certain parameters? So we reached out to our friends and pretty much said, hey, can you do a video for about 2 minutes, give or take, about what you do, how you got there, where you went to school, what were you like in high school, advice you have for high school kids going through it. And the kids really seemed to enjoy it because it was real people. So we said, like, everyone here either lives in Massachusetts currently or is from Massachusetts. So there was a real connection. And the age range probably was somewhere between 25 to about late 40s, 50-ish. So there's a pretty good span of life experience in different careers in there. So the students really enjoyed it. After we watched the videos, they did a career cluster and it broke down, which we've done for a couple of years, but it kind of really breaks down the umbrella categories that students might find interesting and might have some skills with. And then after that, they just kind of start exploring. So we always say we're not going to expect you at 14, 15, 16 to know what you want to do for the rest of your life, but you want to see what's out there. I think sometimes it's hard to know what's out there, and this is a way we try to expose students to potential next steps. So innovation pathways. This is definitely the building block year. We had a lot of conversations over the past year in our committee to really kind of get it up and running. We'll see how things progress next year and then into the year after, which I'll get to in a second. We're really excited for how it's going to shape up for us. We are fortunate that we already have our CAD lab and we have our wood shop, which really kind of helps. And then our project lead the way engineering courses are going to tie into that. So there's a lot of opportunities for students. Can't really see all of this in here, the way it shakes out, but you can see across the state from each of the categories, the columns from the left to the right, there's a significant increase in schools that are going into having like a different type of innovation pathway. So it's definitely the way the state is moving. We think it's gonna be really valuable for our students. So the hope is going through this year into next year for manufacturing, and then going into healthcare after that, and then business after that. We do have a pretty strong science department with a lot of medical and health courses, and then we do have a fantastic business department as well. So we definitely have opportunities to grow in these different areas, and I think it'll really give students real life opportunities to learn, work with real life professionals. We'll expand our senior project program a little bit, like Dr. Donovan said, and I'll talk about senior projects in a little bit and how we're going to hopefully expand it. So scheduling, the scheduling as a process takes a long time. We start pretty much working with students in January, and we kind of go through everything until like the day before school starts. So at this point, the schedule's like set, it's like it's locked, and now we're going through like the conflicts and all that kind of stuff. So there's going to be conflicts. And I think sometimes students and parents feel like, oh, like, why is my kid not getting this class? Like, they really wanted it, and I totally get it. One of my takes, and it's been this way my entire career, is that if you're a student and you're taking a class for 20 weeks as a semester or 40 weeks for a year, you know that's the course you want to take. I'm going to do everything in my power to get you that course. Sometimes it just doesn't work. We actually have, so I was kind of running the numbers, we have 188 individual courses. So not the sections, like different courses. 51% of them are singletons, which means they run one time only. So out of the 188 courses, I think it's like 95 courses are only going to run one time in this whole schedule. So going through it, I mean, I still feel pretty comfortable with the end result. 98% of course requests were filled. 88% of students had perfect schedules. So we're really only 12% that had actual conflicts. And some of those, and I don't want to downplay anything, but some of those, it's like, oh, I didn't get this elective, I wanted that one, and I pick another one, it's okay. We probably had realistically about a half dozen like legit conflicts where it's like a student had to really make a choice between this one or that one. So overall, even though it's been challenging for all of us to kind of go through it, and definitely for the student side, we want to get them what they want, the numbers still shook out pretty well for what students were going for. So for evening presentations, like I said earlier, we try to give parents information the best we can. Students see us every day, whether it's small groups going into classes, individual. They see us and they know kind of what we can provide, whereas parents don't always, because they don't get to see us every day. So we have kind of starting back in September, we have a college admissions, a financial aid night for our seniors, and it's really a little bit about college admissions, and it's really a financial aid night, because that's an overwhelming topic to kind of go through, which is great. We have someone from college come, and she kind of takes everyone through that. And then we kind of start the junior stuff in October to really say, hey, this is where you're at, juniors and junior parents. You have the year to kind of focus on it. We do some stuff ahead of time, but that's kind of the year to really kind of ramp up. We do program of studies and our AP potential night in February to have people involved in the course selection and what an AP is all about as well. And then we do our college panel night, which is when Bruce Hamilton contacts, it's usually like 4 or so colleges, and they come in, they speak about their admission process and what they like, what they don't like in the application, have a couple students talk as well. And that kind of leads us to the college rep visit. So Bruce has kind of changed his procedure over the past couple of years, and he's trying different things, and it's worked pretty well. Combination of individual reps coming after school, and we kind of held these little college mini fairs from September through the end of October during lunch, and we had over 60 reps come to the high school from colleges and different kind of certificate training programs, military. And it was a way for students to kind of come in and get to see a college. And we always say, if you have an interest, come down, because the chances of the person reading your application is they're gonna be probably the one who's there. So if you can make that connection and you can have that conversation, that's gonna help you in the long run. We did go to the college fair. I think I mentioned this last year. We a couple of years ago, we went to the college fair, the National College Fair in Boston, and it was great, but it took us like an hour and a half to get there and an hour and a half to get home, and we were only there for about an hour. So like that's not really the best use of everyone's time. So there's one in Bridgewater, which is definitely a smaller scale, but it hits the needs for what students are looking for, definitely. We were able to, after we went through the fair for about an hour, we were able to have a tour of the campus, kind of walk through, saw a dorm, check things out. So it was cool for students to see. And I would say, like, it doesn't matter what the college is, it's about seeing a college campus, because some students, that was the first time they've ever been on a college campus. So it's important as they're going through it to understand kind of what college looks like. And then one of our other counselors, Mark Cedrchuk, him and Bruce worked pretty closely this year for some field trips, and there was one that they were really happy about, which was the New England Laborers Training Trust Fund field trip, which is the end of April. So we have a handful of students who are like, I'm not sure if I want to go to a traditional 4-year college. I'm not sure if I want to go to 2-year college. I kind of want to just do something kind of like more of like a trade. And this is a place they could go. There's definitely times where they actually saw a former Foxborough student, a recent graduate, who was there, where his company sent him there for a week for training. And there's like full dorms and like it's like a basketball court. And it's like the guy, he was like, it's awesome. It's like a great place, and they get to really learn. And there's a handful of students that were extremely excited about it. So that kind of ties back to what we were talking about earlier with some of that MyCap piece and the innovation pathways, and then also our career kind of revamping of the curriculum. We know that students understand that college is an opportunity after high school. Sometimes they just don't know what they want to do, but some students are like, I don't want to go to college, but I feel like I have to. So giving them opportunities to do something that maybe isn't the traditional college path, we want to make sure we're expanding that out as well and giving those students opportunities. Kind of my last thing is town scholarships. So we had our scholarship night last week for our town scholarships, and I feel like I just need this opportunity to really just thank the town and their support. We had 105 scholarships to 78 students, which was about $219,000. We had another student who got a separate scholarship that wasn't even part of that, which was almost $300,000. So that's like it's a separate thing. As much as I think that was great for her, that wasn't part of the town scholarship process. But the generosity of the town is awesome. I mean, I've been at Foxborough for a long time. I'm about a week away from wrapping up my 19th year here, so I've been here a long time. I really value the community. I value the students. I value the parents. I value the staff. It's a great place to be, and I just really, I can't say thank you enough to the town for the support they give our students. So it's kind of, those are the quick hits. What questions do you have for me?
Does anyone have any questions?
Oh, I think it's amazing. That's like the scholarship. That's amazing for any student that gets a little bit of help to get through. I never realized it was that much, so that's amazing. So kudos to you and your teams for helping with that too.
I think it's increased over the years, right? And a couple years ago, it wasn't that many, but the spread, that's over a third of the class.
Yeah.
That's a nice spread
Yeah.
across, and like, that was very generous. That was amazing.
We always encourage students to apply for the scholarships. Like, you don't know what you're going to get or what you're not going to get. And there are definitely years where we have a lower application amount. So it's like, okay, well, if you're not going to apply for this, like someone else might get two, you could be getting one of those. So we really encourage students to apply, and that's why the wealth was really kind of spread out.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It was amazing.
Are we seeing students interested in senior project? I know that was something I certainly enjoyed, but I didn't really learn about it until I feel like kind of last minute, like past the deadline is when I ended up doing it.
Yeah. So actually, that's great that you brought that up. I just blew right through that and even like talked about senior project. So with senior project, I actually did kind of like ran senior project this year because our career counselor resigned at the end of the summer. We weren't able to replace her. So I'm like, well, I don't want this opportunity to go away. So we kept it going. We had a smaller number this year than the previous year. We probably had about, I think it was like 16 students. But there's a combination of students who really are like, I'm doing this no matter what. And then there's other students like, I want to do it, but I'm not sure if I feasibly can because of either transportation or they're like, I have 3 APs. How am I going to get back and forth? Like that sometimes becomes a little bit of a limitation. So one of our goals is really to increase opportunities for students. We had 2 students this year who did something they had no desire to really do. Their placement kind of fell through at the end. They did something different. They both had great experiences. One was working basically at like a dealership doing like different like types of auto repair, and he was like, "This is great. Like I got to kind of work with people in the industry. He's like, I built some skills. He's like, this isn't necessarily what I want to do for my career, but I'm really happy now that I have this skill set." We had another student who ended up working with our art department to do the art department art show. As her placement fell through, and she kind of organized the whole thing, and it was really great. So I think for us, we want to make sure that we're giving students as many opportunities and letting them know what it really entails early on. Like this year, we definitely talked about it, and it's really the limitation is really for the students. Like, I don't know if I want to not be here for quarter 4. I think ultimately, the answer is you don't want to be here quarter 4. Like we understand that. Like you've been in school for a long time, but it's like, I get it. You're only in high school once. You're really only, you have a couple weeks left. You want to be with your friends. Like I totally understand that. We just want to make sure that students understand that you can kind of get a jump. We actually had 2 students with Foxborough Fire, and they had like an awesome experience. And I went up there and I was talking. So Joe D'Antona is the firefighter who's kind of in charge of the Explorers program. He was my contact, and I'm walking through. I'm like, this is like Foxborough High School. Like there were so many former students there. It was great to see them all. And I was talking to one of them, and like a lot of times in our job, what happens is we work with students for 4 years, and then they leave, and we literally never see them again. And to actually see students who graduated 2011, 09, like I have a student who graduated in 2009 who was one of my students who's been there as a firefighter, and like I get to see him now that he's like in his 30s. I'm like, this is crazy. So it's cool to kind of see students get excited about like what a career is for them and what it could be. So we want to really make sure that we're giving the students kind of that glimpse and that snapshot, and having more opportunity to have students have that experience as well.
Anyone else? Well, thank you. Good luck with the rest of the school year. Hopefully it stays calm in the next week.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda, we have proposed changes to the FHS schedule. Dr. Donovan.
So thank you again for the opportunity to be here. So very excited to share with you the work we've been doing over the last 2 years as it relates to our daily schedule at the high school. So the origin story for this work really comes through our self-study for the NEASC accreditation process, which predates me coming to the high school, but really an identified need of the faculty of our real inability to meet the MTSS requirements for students. In particular, in the multi-tiered systems of support, we really struggle with tier 2 supports, an opportunity for teachers to be able to work with kids once they've identified a problem. Our model at the high school, we have tutors in ELA and math, and a lot of that tier 2 work is done by the tutors, but it's not done with, and those kids are there during their study hall period, so not every student has a study hall period. So we had this real structural issue that we had to kind of navigate through to try to find a solution. And so the presentation I'm going to make for you today, and actually the trial that we're running currently at the high school, is a solution that we think will really meet those needs. So I want to just quickly share with you a little bit about our committee. We have a really large committee of 14 people, 9 department heads of the high school, 5 classroom teachers that represent all of our departments. From wellness to science to math to English to music, and in our work, and they have done exceptional work. We engaged in a process that really started by looking at the constraints, the external constraints we have, and internal constraints, things like our collective bargaining agreement, the bus schedule and times, kind of the objects we can't move. We had shared staff between buildings, so our schedule still has to coordinate with the middle school. When we began this process, 8th grade math was something that happened every day at the high school. Next year, 8th grade, there won't be an 8th grade math group coming to the high school. They're going to stay at the middle school. But that was something that we were planning for initially. The committee started to look for characteristics and schedules. We went out to more than 10 high schools, looked at their different programs, looked at the way they've kind of solved these problems, and then we came back and really kind of did our own visioning exercise and pitches. We tried to come up with schedules that met our needs. And so really from a timeline perspective, we started it in, I think, March of 2024, and we started that work of looking at different schedules, looking at different win blocks in different schools. We looked at our own schedule, kind of had to reverse engineer it. Why does our current schedule look the way it does? What's its evolution? What was the problems it was trying to solve? What were the opportunities it was trying to create? And there's a lot in there. Things like AM gym and the way the first block is fixed for the middle school. All those things, we had to make sure we were keeping them front of mind. For most of last year, we were kind of proposing different models. We were bringing them to kids. We were bringing them to the Superintendent's Advisory Council that Dr. Bertos has. We were bringing them to faculty meetings and really trying to get a sense of how big of a swing we could take in proposing a schedule change, and also kind of what the priorities were of faculty and staff, because we're creating an opportunity for staff to work with kids, and we wanted to make sure that we created something that the faculty understood the vision and felt like they could execute on. And so this year, we've really been operationalizing. By the end of last year, we had come up with a design, and this year, we've really been working to refine it. We've run 2 trials, one in December, which was largely a software infrastructure trial. We're using a platform called Minga to create as a flex scheduler that sits on top of PowerSchool to allow kids to be able to talk a little bit more about what that does in a moment. But we wanted to test out our design and make sure that worked. And right now, we're kind of running a trial for the last 2 weeks since the seniors left, and which will conclude this Friday, of kind of the belts schedules and just seeing how people move and really trying to find all of the structural issues that may exist that we haven't considered yet, or decisions that we made that we want to reevaluate before implementation. So our priorities at the end of this process really was the introduction of a flex period at the high school that would provide better access to MTSS supports for all students. We wanted to create, if we could, more common planning time for teachers We have some common planning time, but obviously we don't have teams like the middle school. We don't have that structure to our day. Every teacher, as Mr. Servideo said a moment ago, we have 188 classes or something like that, and we have all these different combinations of teachers for every kid. Every kid has their own schedule, their own set of teachers, and no two are alike. So getting staff together to be able to look at common assessment data is something that has been really impossible, except for faculty meetings once a month or department meetings once a month after school. So we're looking for a way to increase the times where our staff could interact. One of the things that has always been a burr in the saddle of staff is that our schedule really doesn't rotate fully. So while we do rotate, period one has been fixed. That creates some sort of weird oddities later in the day and how it works. If you have a high school student, you know that our schedule actually runs backwards. We go day 1 and then day 7, and the whole thing goes retrograde. It's a very confusing thing to look at. And so we were hoping that there'd be a way at the end of this rainbow that we could kind of simplify that a little bit. And ultimately what we created, we believe, is a win block feature that lots of schools in our area have, which we want to call the Fox block, which would meet daily for 30 minutes, which we believe will help us address that. So specifically with the Fox block, what we intend this time to be for is for students to meet with their teachers and obtain support during the day. And we're creating a 30-minute period. We're basically taking 5 minutes out of every class during the day and sort of redistributing that class time so that if a student has makeup work, they can get to that makeup work. If a student is struggling with a concept, a teacher could pull kids from across all of their classes together to work on that. If a student has group work and needs more time with their peers to work on that group project, that they can organize themselves within the day to be able to do that. Ultimately, we see this as a place where students will also have time to organize that vision of the graduate portfolio in whatever shape that takes. And it will also create times department-wide to coordinate with common planning time. So, and I'll show you a visual of the schedule in a moment, but what we envision is 2 ways a student ends up in a Fox block. Either they've been assigned there, which means their teacher has said, I want you here today for something. And so when a student is assigned to a Fox block, they don't have the ability to choose to go somewhere else. That teacher has sort of like claimed them for that 30-minute window. The other option is that they register for an opportunity. So they're going to register to go to Mr. Ehrman's class or register to go to Mrs. Cully's class to get support in whatever discipline they need in that moment, or to get extra time to work in the science lab, to do extra time for our students who are in our AP language and are working on their projects, to do some peer editing, whatever it may be, that they'll have that time there, but specifically with only their teachers. So it's not as though they're going to be going and doing just a drop-in art class or a drop-in wellness class. If they want to go back to wellness and work with their PE teacher, that's fine, but they're going to go back and work with their PE teacher. And that really is kind of setting the framework that the Fox block is really an extension of class time. It's curriculum time. It's time on learning. For students who are registered, a teacher can register a student saying, I would like for you to be here at this time. But if it's a day where they haven't been assigned, the student could also choose to go somewhere else if they have a more urgent need. So we're trying to build in students the ability to kind of look ahead. What do I need in this moment? How can I use this time best? And to sort of build those executive functioning skills. So here's an example of what the schedule will look like. And I will say visually, there's a lot going on here. Okay? But really what we want to look at is sort of that 30-minute band across the week. So what we are doing today, actually this is our schedule that we've been running for the last 2.5 weeks as a trial, is our class periods are going from 56 minutes to 52 minutes. Every minute of school over the course of the year is 3 hours of class time. So, and we have to ultimately get to 990 hours. So to add Fox block, what we need to do is to decrease our passing time. So I would say over the last couple of weeks, one of the biggest grumblings within our student body is they now have 3 minutes to get to class instead of 4. which is a challenge for sure. What you can see kind of visually with the colors is that classes are going to, with the exception of G block, which I'll get to in a minute, you'll see them sort of move diagonally through the days. And so 5 of our 7 classes will now meet in every period of the day, which is a big departure from where we are now. And this G block, the way to think of it is that's our current period 1. So we've worked with Mr. Glenn and the music staff to figure out a way to really have band and orchestra meet instead of just in period 1 to have it meet in periods 1 and 2. And we've worked with that department in the middle school to find a way to staff that correctly. And we feel like we have a good sustainable model going forward. The other thing you'll notice in the schedule is that the schedule runs days 1 through 7 in chronological order. And really there is a pretty good rotation. For students who have, one of the things we have at the high school which is really popular is senior privilege. And that senior privilege allows kids to come into school every day. This doesn't take away the senior privilege. In fact, it really expands access. Most kids will have, right now, period 1 is a heavy senior privilege period because they want that study hall and come in late. If you have a G block, that's probably what G block is going to become. Kids will want that one. It's 3 days a week, but that means all of our other periods of the day would be twice the beginning and the end of the day. So it does create access and it creates some more flexibility for seniors as they build their schedules. We still have 6 classes a day. We drop 1 period a day. Lunches are the same length. And it shifts the day back about 10 minutes. Last block starts 9 minutes later than it does normally, which is not too significant at all. This is another version of it. So this is like a sample 9th grade schedule. So we've kind of put all their class periods in. If you look at the Fox block, this is a way that students could kind of visualize it. They're choosing to go to ELA, or maybe they're assigned on day 1, social studies. Maybe there's a vision of the graduate day where they're staying in a class and building their portfolio. They're getting help in world language or music or math or science. We expect that students are going to have a lot of flexibility in how they build that week. This next schedule is a version of a staff teacher schedule. So it's not really showing up great on the projector here, but on the very bottom in green, you can see our schedule for common planning times. So that's when our departments will be off. So on day 1, music will be off. Day 2, math. Day 3, ELA, science, and so on over the course of the week. And then at the very bottom, you'll see this priority day. And the priority day means that on day 1, English teachers have the ability to assign exactly who they want. So once a week, if a student is struggling in English, they will absolutely have no other choice but to be in English. They can register the rest of the week, but departments, and we see this as being a really important thing to be able to have like timely, the most urgent stuff to be able to be addressed every week. And so we built the priority days, and you can see here how we've built common planning time. And roughly what we're looking for is about teachers, about 8 teachers a day would be in common planning time in that window for, plus or minus 30 minutes. I've gone really fast here. So I really, kind of in closing here, I really want to thank, again, the committee. I want to thank our faculty at the high school. This is, as you can see, kind of like a 3-year project to even get to this point. We've had a lot of kids, a lot of faculty input. When we began this project, I don't think any member of the committee imagined that it would look like this. This really kind of like is the fruit of just lots and lots of conversations over the last couple of years. And the staff as a whole provided significant input on the final design. So I think the committee is very proud of their work. We're in a trial currently. We're finding things. Frankly, if I can go back a thing here. The first iteration of this in December had Fox block after period 3. We moved it to period 2 after that to try it because we thought it kind of broke the day up. 2 periods, Fox block, 2 periods, lunch, last block, that sort of thing. Some of the feedback we've gotten over the last 10 days is that actually we were probably right the first time to put it after block 3 because that's a more natural break in the day. And it seems we may be a little bit earlier than kids may want it later and staff may want it a little bit later to get more in a groove. So these are the type of things that we're trying to really figure out, as well as the Minga platform where students are registering and staff are assigning kids. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions?
It still seems very complex to
Yeah.
me. I really appreciate all the work you did, because I can't imagine it was very easy to restructure the schedule in Foxborough. We've been so set for so long, especially with the music program. I'd be interested in seeing more of it next year, like once it really gets going, because like I said, it seems very complex to me. I'm sure it's not. But.
Oh, no, it is.
Okay,
I get excited about this the way Mr. Servideo gets excited about scheduling students, the master schedule of the building. So, I mean, I'll talk about this for hours, but it is the, schedules reflect the values of the school, what's important. And our schedule in its current form was designed to support, to efficiently use staff at the high school, in the middle school, to share staff, to make the best music program it could. That's baked in. We believe we found a way in making these changes to maintain that. We also have, we made decisions not to change other parts of our schedule, the way we do PE and health, having like alternating almost like A-B days. The same thing with our jazz programs and study halls and some of our academic lab programs where students take things on days like 1, 3, and 7, and those type of things. We decided we were not going to change any of that because we couldn't possibly make all those changes. So what we really tried to do is to kind of reframe one part of the day to create this space where kids could really get the support they need from their teachers, not just from our tutors, who are great, but they're not the students' teachers. And that's really the space we wanted to create.
I'm actually looking forward to seeing feedback on this some point next year on how well this is going.
I just want to make 2 points. One, you've hit on it. You cannot underestimate the amount of time and from the leadership of Dr. Donovan in order to do this. Yes, many people involved, but it starts right there with what he's cultivated there. So it is an enormous amount of work. And you might remember, some of you from last year, we weren't ready a year ago. We needed an additional year because of all of the intricacies that are part of this, and to be able to maintain the values and what's important, but to be able to get that Fox block and to be able to meet the needs through MTSS with students. But taking the feedback from students, from the Student Advisory Council, like the amount of work that's gone into this, and being really thoughtful and saying, we need another year. And then I just think it's brilliant in taking, after the seniors and graduating, and you have less students in there, to do this trial and to learn from it and to have that reflection piece to really try to get it right in something that is extremely complex.
I have a couple questions. So if a student isn't assigned by a teacher or isn't requested by a teacher and they don't assign, they're just assigned a common location for that block?
Well, that's one of the things we're looking at right now. So every student has to be registered. So any kid who, over the last 2 weeks, any student who did not register is being registered. So we're either registering them to the class that they were in prior to Fox Block, or we have this kind of group that we're calling trash duty. So kids who are not signing them up, sometimes we've gone out with trash bags and walked around the school and picked up trash. So as a way to incentivize, like, you gotta make a choice here, and
Register somewhere.
You're getting the opportunity, and if not, we'll make a choice for you, and the whole community will look better. The school will look better because of it. But it's great when it's 75 degrees. I imagine in the winter it may not be so great. But we are finding some, this is part of the platform. We're learning how to use the platform in these couple of weeks to really try to make sure that we do it. Right now it's time consuming. Because we're in the first couple of weeks of figuring it out, we are finding ways to do it faster. And ultimately, if kids don't make a choice, it's going to be chosen for them. But that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for kids to begin to develop the executive functioning skills to be like, you know what, I need to work. I need to get this done. How do I work with my peers to get it done? We've been stopping the building on Monday to choose for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We don't want to do that. We don't want to drag a period to do it. We want to be able every day to be dynamic and to move forward. If we have to stop the building constantly, that's less days we can do common planning time. That's less time that we can do all the stuff, the other things that's really important. So I think ultimately kids will have that time chosen for them if they don't choose it. We want to encourage them to do so.
Have there been discussions for that time to be a time where students can potentially meet with college representatives if they can come at that time of day, or college coaches who want to meet? That way more students can do it during the day as opposed to after school when.
Yep, so absolutely. So I've had a conversation with the athletic director about that. Instead of having like the drop-in, we have very little college coach interactions at the high school, with the exception of football. It's really the only sport where that happens. Everything else has moved to kind of club sports, except for maybe track, where it moves to the like national and invitational type stuff. That's a different sport in that way. But yeah, we imagine that this is going to be the time where coaches we'll tell coaches like, sure, you can come, but you have to come at 9:30, and it's over at 9:50. So that's your window. If you want to come, we're happy to see you. So that we've had those conversations I've had those conversations with the athletic director. Certainly with, I don't know if Mr. Video's still there, we have been looking at using this time for group guidance to really pull the senior class together as a group to provide more targeted, like, here's the information. So right now, for example, to do the meeting on scholarships, we had to pull every kid out of every class in the building at once to deliver that presentation. And so we were losing instructional time and disrupting all these other things that were happening. We would just simply use Foxborough, call all the seniors together, give them that information in a 20-minute window, and move it. So we do anticipate using it more for that stuff at the front, in the front part of the year, for as we lead up to November 1 application deadlines and financial aid, all that stuff, to use that time for that.
And the last question, has there been a discussion or any reason that clubs can't meet during the day to possibly encourage more involvement from students?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we, that was originally our plan. But ultimately, there were a couple things that happened last summer. The first was some schools that have created these win-like blocks got reported to the state, and the state determined that, or they used it for co-curriculars, and that the state determined that that was not instructional time. And if you were going to have student council meet or have something else meet, then that time wouldn't count for your 990 hours. So for us, that was we needed that time, frankly. And also, I think really the problem we're trying to solve is an instructional classroom problem, giving an opportunity for teachers to work with kids who are struggling with the concept in real time. Because what it used to be was that kids came after school, but they don't come after school anymore the same way they did a generation or two ago. So there's just too much going on. There's too much going on at the high school for them to do it. So we're looking to use the finite amount of time we have to really focus on classwork and those skills related to classes. So that's a big part of why we made that choice. That's a great question.
You stole my questions, Nate.
Sorry.
No, I like the flexibility that comes with this, because I know, having two kids in high school, there are times where they do struggle to stay after school and to, catch up on other things. So I think, if they don't have a study hall, this offers a great opportunity to do that. And I like the fact that they have the flexibility to move that around, just like you were saying. If one day there's one, subject that's an issue, then they can switch that. And there's that ability to move it, which I think is really important, especially as things do change with, what's being required as projects, tests, whatever. So I like the flexibility this has, and I do like it that it's the same time every day, so they just know what to expect at that time. So I like the flexibility that this brings.
Are you looking for us to vote on that exact schedule as presented, or will the feedback might change what? So
what we're asking for you to do is to we're considering this a fairly major change to the high school schedule. So yes, is really kind of to the concept of adopting the Fox block. We do think there's going to be some small tweaks. There's going to be some tweaks in when kids can register. Right now they have to register 24 hours in advance. that was a well-intentioned idea. It's not working the way we want it to be, because every time we have a substitute teacher, we have a teacher out, now they can't register to go somewhere else. So we're like finding those things, but really the structure of adopting the Fox block is what I'd be asking you to approve tonight.
As I'm looking at it, did you struggle with any sort of imbalance with the Fox block being like after the G period 3 times during the cycle as opposed to every cycle?
I'm glad you mentioned that, because right now, this is, what we're doing doesn't look like this, because we're keeping period 1 fixed right now instead of reorganizing everyone's day. So that scenario that you described actually hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
But it is something that I think we are considering looking at moving it a little bit later. But that specific one hasn't occurred yet because we kept period 1 right where it was. But to not totally confuse everyone, I left that version of the schedule out of tonight's presentation.
Well, I'll entertain a
Okay.
motion.
I make a motion to make the proposed changes to the Foxborough High School schedule as presented here tonight.
I second.
All in favor? 400. Thank you, and good
Awesome.
luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Because that's not at all confusing to
work.
look at.
Here's just go to you.
Next on the agenda, we have some first reads from the policy subcommittee.
One of the ones that are on there is actually not going to be read tonight. The visitors to the schools, KI, is not going to be read.
And then I think we can skip CHCA as well, because it's just a title change, right? Is that correct?
All right, is motion to waive it then? Do we have to do a motion to waive it? or we
That I
good?
don't know.
No, okay. All right.
Which just nothing in the policy itself changed other than the title. You're fine on that one by not doing the read.
Okay. All right. All right, folks, buckle in. So first read we're going to have is ADF Wellness. This is, I'm just going to dive right into it. You guys can ask any questions after. So, file ADF Wellness. It is the policy of the Foxborough Public School District to promote actions that create a healthy and safe environment for all students, faculty, and staff. It is our goal to promote and protect our students' physical, emotional, and social well-being through the coordinated school wellness program. This includes providing a healthy environment, nutritious school meals, health and physical education, opportunities for physical activity, school nurse services, and mental health services. It is the intent of this policy to enable students to become independent and self-directed learners by taking the initiative to meet their own health, physical, and nutritional needs as they developmentally appropriate. Specific actions and decisions will take into account the health needs and well-being of all children without discrimination or isolation of any child. Our goal is to provide nutrition, education, and physical education to foster lifelong habits of healthy eating and physical activity. The Foxborough Public Schools Wellness Committee shall meet no less than 4 times annually to review, monitor, and evaluate the goals of this policy. The committee shall include representatives from school health and health-related disciplines, including school nurses, school nutrition and physical activity staff, community agencies serving youth, parents, students, and the school committee, and shall be appointed by the superintendent or designee. Compliance with policy review and monitoring. The superintendent or designee will ensure compliance with current district-wide nutrition and physical activity wellness policy and protocol. The Wellness Committee will assess and review the wellness policy every 3 years and make recommendations for any areas that may need improvement or revision. Based on observations and/or comparisons to other model wellness policies, the assessment results summary will be made available to the public on the Foxborough Public Schools District website. The local wellness policies, meeting minutes, and policy updates will be available to the public on the district website. In each school building, the principal or designee will ensure compliance with this policy and will report any concerns to the superintendent. The committee may set additional wellness goals for the district not covered within this policy. Section 1, nutrition and wellness. The Foxborough Public School District aims to teach, encourage, and support healthy eating by students. Our goal is to provide nutrition education at all levels throughout our district by using the following strategies. Offer a comprehensive standards-based health curriculum designed to provide students with the knowledge and skills necessary to promote and protect their health at all levels. Provide instructions for students in nutrition that teaches the skills they need to develop and maintain healthy eating habits. Through the nutrition education program, establish the link between food and beverage intake and physical activity as key components to healthy weight management. Promote healthy eating decisions such as fruits, vegetables, whole grain products, low-fat and fat-free dairy products, healthy food preparation methods, and health-enhancing nutrition practices. Offer healthy meals and snacks that promote good health and provide students with the appropriate daily nutrition that is consistent with the dietary guidelines of Americans. Support healthy lifestyles at home through parent education activities. Farm-to-school activities shall be incorporated when feasible to serve local foods. Such activities enhance classroom education through hands-on learning related to food, health, agriculture, and nutrition. When possible, culturally responsive nutrition education and integration of food literacy in core curricular areas is encouraged. Provide professional development opportunities for food service staff. Annual training shall follow the USDA professional standards required hours of nutrition director, managers, and staff. Section 2, guidelines for foods and beverages on school campuses. The School Food Service Child Nutrition Program will comply with the National School Lunch and Breakfast Standards for meal patterns, nutrient levels, and calorie requirements for the ages, grade levels served, and encourages all students to participate, and will be accessible to all children. Foods made available during the school day will promote consumption of nutrient-dense foods and beverages, i.e. milk, meat, or protein, fresh fruits, vegetables, and whole grains daily. School menus will be analyzed using USDA-approved software. Nutrition information will be available for all foods offered through the Child Nutrition Program. The school district will provide information and outreach materials about other federal nutrition standards programs, such as Supplemental Nutrition Assistance, or SNAP, and Women, Infants, and Children, or WIC, to students and parents through the school district website. Free and reduced meals for students who qualify for free or reduced price meals. Privacy is protected according to the National School Lunch Act and USDA guidelines. Schools will make every effort to eliminate any social stigma attached to students that are eligible for free or reduced school meals. Electronic identification and a payment system promote the availability of school meals to all students. This method of payment does not identify a student as eligible for free or reduced price meals, using prepayment systems which mask students' eligibility status. Applications for free or reduced lunch and breakfast are available at each school or on district websites. Halfway home. All right. All foods made available on campus by Food Services Department will adhere to food safety and security guidelines, hazard analysis and critical control points, in parentheses HACCP. Plans and guidelines will be implemented to prevent food illness in schools. Food safety issues related to food allergy are adhered to for all food served in school. Refer to Foxborough Public Schools Life-Threatening Allergy Policy, JLCE, for more information. Access to water. The district requires that free, safe, and unflavored drinking water is available to students during the school day and during extended school day. Water cups/jugs are available in the cafeteria if a drinking fountain is not present. Water quality is to be regularly monitored. All other food served in the school during the school day or in after-school care or enrichment programs will follow Smart Snack standards and or the Massachusetts nutrition standards, whichever is stricter. For reference, that's MA 105 CMR 225.000, nutrition standards for competitive foods and beverages in public schools. This includes vending machines, concessions, a la carte, school stores, school-sponsored fundraisers, and other venues under the control of the school department. The school day begins at midnight and lasts until 30 minutes after the final bell. Birthday celebrations must be food-free throughout the district. Classroom snacks and food provided for non-birthday related celebrations feature healthy choices. Schools will not use food as rewards. Exceptions for this policy may only be made when behavior rewards of discipline are part of a student's individual educational program, IEP, or with explicit permission of building administration. It is recommended that the non-school sponsored events including fundraisers and concessions held on school grounds and or to benefit schools in the Foxborough School District will be encouraged to include healthy choices to promote healthy living. No food fundraisers shall take place during the school day. The district may allow exemptions for infrequent school-sponsored fundraisers which are outside the school day. The school district encourages parents, teachers, school administrators, students, food service professionals, and community members to serve as role models in practicing healthy eating and being physically active, both in school and at home. Section 3, physical activity opportunities in physical education. Students in grades K through 10, including students with disabilities, special health care needs, and in alternative settings, will participate in physical education for the entire school year. Students in grades 11 and 12 are offered physical education electives. The minimum PE requirement is 1 semester per year. All physical education classes will be taught by a certified physical education teacher. The physical education program includes instruction of individual skills and fitness activities to encourage lifelong physical activity. Students will spend well over 50% of physical education class time participating in moderate to vigorous physical activity. All students through grade 6 will have 15 to 20 minutes of supervised recess daily. Whenever possible, all of the students' recess time is spent outdoors. All schools will offer a range of extracurricular physical activity programs and activities that meet the needs of diverse learners, such as co-curricular clubs, interscholastic athletic programs, and intramural programs. Schools will not use physical activity or the withholding of recess or other physical activity as a means of punishment or as a regular form of discipline. Exceptions to this policy may only be made when behavior rewards or discipline are part of the student's individual educational program, the IEP. School spaces and facilities should be available to students, staff, and community members during and after the school day, on weekends, and during school vacations. These spaces and facilities also should be available to community agencies and organizations offering physical activity and nutrition programs. School policies concerning safety will apply at all times. See Policy KF, the community use of school facilities. 4, other school-based activities. The school district will ensure adequate time for students to enjoy eating healthy foods in a collegial environment. When possible, schools will schedule a recess for elementary students before lunch so that children will come to lunch less distracted and ready to eat. The Foxborough Public School District values the health and well-being of every staff member and will plan and implement activities and policies that support efforts by the staff to maintain a healthy lifestyle. The district will make every effort to inform and educate staff and encourage staff health and wellness as related to healthy eating, physical activity, and other elements of a healthy lifestyle. Staff meetings where food is served shall offer healthy alternatives. Cross-references, IHAE, physical education, IHAM, health and wellness education, IHAMA, teaching about alcohol, drugs, and tobacco. Legal reference, MGL 723B, an act relative to school nutrition, H4459, Child Nutrition and WIC Reauthorization Act of 2004. Policy adopted 6/1906, most recently revised on 8/27/18.
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
Can the committee just, let the rest of us know a little bit about why some of these changes were made?
Yeah, so Janice Watt did a lot of work on this. Basically, there was a lot of updating that had to be done to the policy to sort of align with the changes within just not only like nutrition, but also a lot of the processes that the nutrition groups use changed during COVID. A whole lot of policies. I believe Dr. Bertos was telling me a lot about that.
And so Michelle sits with me on the wellness committee, and so we have spent a good amount of time over this and with the Department of Education from a compliance monitoring standpoint. There were things that we needed to embed within the policy from that compliance monitoring piece, in addition to the nutrition, as well as some other nuances where we do have universal free meals right now. So when we think about the free and reduced lunch applications, that's not necessarily for meals right now, but we needed to have that within the policy as well. Michelle, can you think of from the Wellness Committee anything else? We had from the food service, as you said, with Janice Watt. She serves obviously, and Jen Rosenberg. They kind of co-chair the committee together, so you've got those aspects.
No, I think that was about it, yeah.
We needed to do it from the compliance standpoint, from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education was a big component of this as well.
One thing I did notice, unless I'm going crazy, is on the third page, the fourth paragraph. I think the font is bigger than the rest of the document.
It is.
Okay. At least
That
I'm
would
not
all,
going crazy.
Jamie will make that magic happen.
Cross-eyed by that point.
I had a couple, and I'm sorry, punctuation issues. On the second page, where you have in red, where you added, they need semicolons at the end. One has a period and one has nothing. They just need semicolons at the end. And then down at the last paragraph, free and reduced meals, you have a semicolon. I don't know if you mean to start in like a section, so either remove the semicolon or capitalize the F. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And then, again, on the third page, access to water, there's a period. I don't know if you mean it to be like a semicolon or a dash, or if you mean it to be a period, and that's fine too. I just wasn't sure how you wanted to arrange that. So that was, I think, it.
Any other thoughts or discussion on this policy?
I don't know if this is an error, but on the first page, when you look at the red writing, 3 lines up, the local wellness policies meeting minutes, I think it's supposed to be the local wellness committees meeting minutes. Is that?
I don't know, that's what was in the draft that we were given, so I wouldn't, Pat, you don't know the difference, do you?
It doesn't quite make sense, though.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't, but I don't know.
Now that you pointed out, no, it doesn't.
I've read it 3 times.
Yeah. So change that to committee?
I think that makes more sense.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay.
Thank you for reading. There's one more policy.
One more. All right, it is file ECAB, access to buildings and grounds, and this is a brand-new policy. The buildings and grounds of Foxborough Public Schools represent a significant community investment. The primary purpose of this investment is for the students of the district. It is in the best interest of the public that this investment be secured while nonetheless providing maximum possible community use of the district buildings and grounds. During school hours, when school is in session, access to the buildings and grounds of the Foxborough Public Schools are limited to district students, staff, and those with legitimate businesses with the school or district. Those visiting for recognized business must follow the district visitor policy and accompanying procedures. Access to school grounds during the school day, except for recognized school or district activities, is prohibited. During outside of school hours and on non-school days, the public is welcome to use the school grounds from dawn until dusk for intended purposes. Such use is secondary to use by any school or district activity or to any community use as provided through rental or donation. Access to school buildings after school hours and on non-school days is only for intended school and district events or for uses authorized by the superintendent or their designee. Access within the building will be limited to those participating in the authorized event and to personnel whose work requires it. Such access will be limited to those rooms and space required by the event, including appropriate restroom access. The superintendent will ensure the procedures enacting this and related policies are created and enforced. The cross-references are ECA Buildings and Grounds Management, IHBAA Observations of School Educational Programs, KF Community Use of School Facilities, KF-R Community Use of School Facilities, and KI Visitors to School.
Can you just talk about why this policy was created, proposed?
Yes, Amy, do you want to do that? You know, have a better.
Sure.
history
So this is a policy. This is directly from MASC. The dawn to dusk piece is from a public safety standpoint. If it's outside, if it's nighttime and being able to be on school grounds, makes it more problematic for public safety. They don't have anything to go towards if we don't have a policy in place that says that they're not supposed to be there at that particular time. So they've also reviewed this to give us feedback on it, but it really was instigated by them needing something to lean towards so that you don't have when it's at night and it's not a time for people to be on campus to not be there.
Yeah, it's also a complement to the ECA policy, which also had a revision. It'll first read coming soon, a little teaser for you there. As a part of that, to sort of codify the access to the grounds. I mean, at the end of the day, people are allowed to use the grounds, especially when it's outside of the school hours. However, it sort of allows us to reserve the right to limit it to a time. So if someone is on there and the police want to exercise that authority, they can.
Any other thoughts, comments?
Also, where you don't have people there during the school day when they're not supposed to be there during the school day.
Very reasonable concerns.
And I think it also protects too, with the access inside the building, that, you know, if someone is renting out, let's say, you know, the gym at the high school, then it's just the gym, that they're not wandering around the rest of the school building.
Well, thank you. We look forward to your upcoming first read. Next on the agenda, we have the community update. Start with you, Allison.
I actually don't have anything. I was trying to think if I had anything, and I don't this week.
All right. Michelle?
This Thursday starts the concert on the Common, and this Thursday will be the Foxborough High School Jazz Band. So take an opportunity to come out and listen. And I actually think the weather's going to be good. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, hot but good.
Yeah.
Pat.
The high school football team is hosting the community event for the youth players for 3 days on the turf field. You can register with the youth football. It's something that Coach Martinelli has done with his coaching staff for the last few years, and I think you probably were a part of one of those groups as one of the seniors run it, and the little kids love getting a chance to get out on the field with the seniors and learn from them, so it's a great event.
Dr. Burdos.
I do not have any other updates, but I did want to go back to the approval of minutes. There was a typo. The bottom of the minutes, it does have the correct date of April 8th. At the top, it says March 25th. So just wanted to make the notation. It does have the correct date at the bottom, but just to make sure that we're all clear, it is April 8th.
Dr. Burrows.
I will only add that even though school is about to be out in about a week and a half, our teachers never stop working. There's quite a bit of summer curriculum work that's going to be happening throughout the summer so that our teachers are all ready to welcome our students in the fall. And very grateful for all of the time and energy that our staff puts into that each summer. We could not open our schools without that additional work and additional effort that our staff puts in during the summer. So thank you.
Nate, can I say one thing that I forgot?
Of course.
The Foxborough Youth Lacrosse, their 7th and 8th grade, they do this really cool thing called stick swap. And that's happening on Monday right after football at the high school turf. So the girls play with the boys' sticks and the boys play with the girls' sticks, and it's hilarious. And usually the girls win because the boys cannot figure out how to use a girl's stick, because if you know lacrosse, they're completely different. And they do a nice little ceremony for the 8th graders who are graduating out of the program and going into high school. So that is at 7 right after the football clinic on Monday.
Very exciting events coming up. I got nothing, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor? 4-0-0. Good night, everybody.